Hello,
One start. Yep.
hello everyone. I'm here to discuss about our company Saint Alisa, and I'm tasked to describe power and politics. So in this section, I was tasked to analyze sources of power that I found influencing employees' behavior on the organization that I have selected. So we identified two sources of power in the company, namely the referent power, which is the capacity to inspire people because they respect or admire you. A new employee on the organization, caregivers, nurses, and newly hired staff can build social capital and trust right away by saying yes when individuals request you to do things or cover shifts for them. Never say no. That's not my job, especially to the senior nurses and to the bosses. So, as an casual employee in St. Alisa, I have experienced this one when I entered the facility and I was trained by the nurses and caregivers. They told me that you have to say yes to everyone, especially if they want you to give work, because as a new employee you should build trust and confidence within them because of handling elderly people. The next source of power is expert power, which is an alternative way to earn esteem and influence. You have the capability to encourage other caregivers and nurses because of the veteran talents, knowledge, and techniques. The vital part of gaining this power is to know your job. Caregivers and nurses must be aware of what are essential things to learn to do your profession well and develop those skills. Also, cross training is an additional technique to have an advantage. Will not just distinguish your craft but other work as well. So in this power, most of our senior caregivers and nurses are mostly equipped with this one. When I was when I started working there, I was trained by them and I was moved and inspired on how they handled the situation there, especially handling the elderly people. And as I don't have any background on my work, so they taught me about their how things are done there, especially if you want it to be precise and on point, because when handling those elderly people, you have to be careful because they're very fragile. Also, cross training. They also taught me a lot of things, not just in my field of work, but also outside of it, like preparing the food in the kitchen. That is one thing that they taught me. Preparing the trays and how the diets of the elderly people are how the elderly people are getting their food, and also in some crafts like in the laundry, because as you know, we in that field of work we use a lot of towels, so especially with that one. So that's it. So the next one, I was tasked to analyze, uh, evaluate any one political and tactic and one technique of power used to improve the employee's performance in that organization. So we have chosen one political technique of St. Elisa is developing a base of support. All caregivers, irrespective of their level of skill, needs to consult a nurse first before doing a specific care to a resident, especially to the critical times. And nurses must also check the doctor or physiologist if the cares to be applied is the right way, since the residents in the home care are fragile and needs care. So in this part, as a caregiver, before doing my cares in the home care, I should consult first to the nurses, especially if there are changes in the ways that how we handle the elderly. We have handovers during mornings and the afternoon, so that the nurses would talk to us on how to apply those things. And yeah, that's it. The next, we have identified the technique of power that St. Elisa is enforcing or helping employees achieve job mastering. So in St. Elisa, caregiving work is repetitive. Every shift, even if it's in the morning, in afternoon, and evening, the routines are pretty much the same. The difference is how you handle every situation because there are different cares applied on different residents. Mastering this routine would help health workers to do the job fast, reliable, and efficient. So this means that when you work there, the routines are pretty much the same every morning, afternoon, and in the evening. It's the company helps you to master it through repetitive jobs, and they're giving you repetitive schedules so that if you're put on that shift, you will not be able you will able to do the task that it is given to you, and you can do it on a faster pace and in the right time. The next part that I am tasked to is to suggest suitable methods of increasing participative management in that selected organization. So there are four participative management that we have applied. St. Elisa should share information which is concerned with keeping employees knowledgeable about the economic situation of the firm. So in this part, St. Elisa should share what's the status of the company. Training, which includes raising the skill levels of staffs and offering growing opportunities that permit them to apply innovative skills to make effective choices regarding organization as a whole. So in St. Elisa, we're given trainings, but that are online training in Altura. Whenever you are new and whenever you're still given trainings, even if you're uh, already working there for a long time. And right now, because of the coronavirus, we are trained to have precautionary measures such as wearing PPEs and having alcohol rub for every 5 minutes so that it will be uh, we can help decrease the spread of the virus. Caregiver decision making, which can take many methods from deciding work schedule to monitoring on shifts and other processes, and rewards which should be tied to ideas. So as of now, we are given the chance to we are given the opportunity to choose our own shift, especially if you're a student, and we're given rewards since because of the coronavirus right now, we're given hazard pays, and maybe so I read the news about yesterday that we're given full time for 3 months, especially if you're on the healthcare field, and free healthcare support for the staff. So in St. Elisa, we're given free flu vaccinations, and that's all. And we have interviewed our clinical manager. We have 3 questions prepared for him. And these are the questions. Are there any departments in St. Elisa, such as finance department, IT department, procurement department? And if there are others, then write which ones. And if not, then who performs these functions? And how to get a job in St. Elisa? Do you have an interview with the general manager or HR manager? And lastly, St. Elisa as part of our Vida group, how it impacts St. Elisa. So these are the questions yielded. The first one is they have the financial department, development department, HR department, marketing and sales, wellness and care, village services department, and IT department. According to our clinical manager, St. Elisa is under the Arvida company. By saying that, Arvida has all those departments and function. There are persons in charge with sending the required data or information to those departments so that they can process it. The second answer to the question is that to get a job, an application must be submitted together with your CV and cover letter. Reception will then forward to the manager for shortlisting and verification. And then the village manager check the needs of for staffing, and shortlist applicants will be invited for an interview with the manager, NRN, or manager and a resident to do an interview. After the interview, another shortlisting of applicants will be done. Then the chosen applicant will have their reference checked, and if everything acceptable, an offer of employment is given. And lastly, being part of Arvida has a big impact on St. Elisa because they follow the same principles with all of the Arvida villages, and they have the same supplies. So in short, they have their back in case of problem arises, and they can support in every way needed so that their standards are maintained. So that's practically my part. Any questions?